There's a huge difference between belonging and fitting in, and most of us spend years confusing the two. Fitting in is when you scan the room, figure out who you need to be accepted, and then twist yourself into that shape. You change the way you talk, you hide the parts of yourself you think people won't like, and you perform a version of yourself you hope will be enough. The problem is, every time you do this, you're giving away a small piece of your identity. You start to lose sight of who you really are because you've been rehearsing a character instead of living your truth. Belonging, on the other hand, doesn't require any acting. It's when you walk into a space and you feel safe showing up exactly as you are, your real laugh, your real opinions, your real quirks. You're not measuring your words, wondering if they'll land the wrong way. You're not afraid to share your passions, your fears, or your weird hobbies. You are whole, unaided, and unapologetic. When you're fitting in, you might gain temporary acceptance, but it comes at the cost of authenticity. When you belong, you gain something much deeper, a connection built on truth. Belonging means the people around you have seen you, really seen you, and chosen to accept you anyway. It's the freedom of knowing you don't have to perform for love, because the love you have is real. We are raised in a world that subtly teaches us to chase approval as if it's the highest form of success. We crave the pat on the back, the nod of agreement, the social media likes that seem to confirm our worth. And while approval can feel good in the moment, it's fleeting. It can disappear the instant you stop meeting someone else's expectations. Authenticity, however, is unshakable. It is the act of standing in your truth, even when your voice trembles, even when it makes others uncomfortable, and even when it risks making you less popular. Choosing authenticity means you stop molding yourself to be liked and start living in alignment with your deepest values. It's a shift from asking, will they like me, to asking, will I respect myself after this? Approval is conditional. It depends on how well you fit into someone's idea of who you should be. The moment you deviate, the approval can vanish, leaving you wondering what you did wrong. But when you choose authenticity, you anchor yourself in a truth that no one can take away. It builds a self-respect so strong that you stop needing to be liked by everyone because you've learned to genuinely like yourself. And here's the irony: when you stop chasing approval, you often attract the right kind of approval anyway. The people who appreciate your honesty, your courage, and your realness begin to find you. Not because you bent yourself to please them, but because your authenticity called them in. There will come moments in life when the choice to be true to yourself will also mean standing apart from the crowd. These moments are not easy. They can feel like stepping out into a cold, open space with no one beside you. Human beings are wired for connection, so the idea of being alone can feel threatening. But courage isn't the absence of fear, it's the decision to move forward in spite of it. Standing alone requires you to trust that your self-worth does not depend on how many people are standing with you. It means being willing to lose approval, comfort, or even relationships rather than lose yourself. This kind of courage is often born in silence, those private moments when you know you could go along with the group to avoid conflict, but something inside you whispers, don't. When you choose to stand alone for what's right, you create a powerful internal shift. You begin to realize that your values are not negotiable. You stop measuring your worth by the size of your circle and start measuring it by the strength of your backbone. You may be surprised to find that over time, others begin to respect you, not because you blended in, but because you didn't. And here's the truth: every person who has ever made a difference in their own life or in the world has faced moments where they stood alone. It's in those moments that character is forged, self-trust is built, and the foundation for true belonging is laid. There is a certain kind of connection that feels warm and safe, the kind where you can take a deep breath, let your guard down, and know you don't have to pretend. That's the gift of real connection, and it only happens when truth is present. The moment we start wearing masks to gain acceptance, we aren't building relationships, we're building illusions. And illusions are fragile. They shatter the moment the truth slips through. When you connect with people while pretending to be someone else, you create a false bond. They might like you, but they like the version you've carefully curated for them, not the real you. This is why so many people can feel lonely even when surrounded by friends, because deep down, they know they're not fully seen. Real connection requires honesty, and honesty requires risk. It's risky to say, this is who I am, without knowing how the other person will respond. It's risky to share your struggles, your unpopular opinions, or your messy truths. But that's the only way to find out who is willing to stand with you in both your light and your shadows. The beauty of truth in connection is that it acts like a filter. It naturally keeps out those who only want the polished version of you and draws in the ones who value your whole self. These are the relationships that last because they're not built on constant performance. They're built on trust, acceptance, and the freedom to be imperfect without fear of losing love. Rejection can sting like nothing else. It can make us question our worth, our choices, even our identity. But what we often forget is that rejection is not always a sign that something is wrong with us. It can be a sign that we are finally being true to ourselves. When you start living authentically, you will inevitably encounter people who don't understand you, don't agree with you, or simply don't want what you have to offer. And that's okay. Sometimes rejection is life's way of clearing space. It removes the people, environments, and opportunities that require you to shrink or hide parts of yourself. It's not punishment, it's protection. If a door closes because you refuse to compromise your values, that's not a failure, that's a victory in disguise. You've preserved something far more important than approval. You've preserved your integrity. We often look back on moments of rejection and realize they were turning points. The friend who stopped calling when you started setting boundaries, the job you didn't get because you refused to play office politics, the relationship that ended when you finally spoke your truth. In the moment, those losses may have felt crushing, but over time, they reveal themselves as blessings. Rejection teaches you to stop begging for entry into spaces that were never meant for you. It forces you to trust that the people and places aligned with your truth will never require you to compromise it. And while being turned away can hurt, it is often the very thing that leads you to the connections where you truly belong. Belonging to yourself is the foundation for every other kind of belonging. If you don't feel at home in your own skin, you will spend your life searching for acceptance outside of you, and that search will never truly end. When you don't have self-belonging, every glance, every opinion, every bit of feedback from others feels like a verdict on your worth. You become a chameleon, shifting colors to match your surroundings because the idea of being rejected feels unbearable. Belonging to yourself means you stop outsourcing your value. It's the quiet confidence of knowing that you are enough, not because someone else says so, but because you've decided it for yourself. It's the courage to look in the mirror and say, I trust you. I respect you. I will not abandon you. This isn't arrogance. It's the deepest form of self-respect. When you belong to yourself, you no longer enter relationships or communities from a place of neediness. You don't cling to people out of fear that you'll fall apart without them. Instead, you share your life with others from a place of abundance. You choose them, but you do not depend on them to define who you are. Self-belonging also means holding space for your flaws without shame. You understand that being human means being imperfect, and you stop trying to earn love by being flawless. This shift frees you from the exhausting cycle of proving your worth and instead allows you to live in a state of quiet, grounded certainty. When you live authentically, when you stop bending yourself to fit someone else's mold, you send out a signal, even if you don't realize it. That signal says, this is who I am. This is what I stand for. This is how I love, think, and live. It might not resonate with everyone, but that's exactly the point. It acts like a filter, quietly separating those who are drawn to your truth from those who aren't meant to walk alongside you. The right people are not the ones who merely tolerate you. They are the ones who celebrate you. They don't want you to tone down your laughter, hide your opinions, or silence your passions. In fact, they lean in closer when you show your real self. They see the beauty in your quirks, the value in your honesty, and the strength in your vulnerability. These are the people who will stand beside you not only in your highlight moments, but also in your seasons of struggle. They don't disappear when you're messy, uncertain, or imperfect, because their connection to you isn't conditional on you performing for them. They've chosen you, not the polished version, not the version that tries to please, but you. Finding these people takes time, and sometimes the wait feels long. But each time you resist the temptation to settle for shallow acceptance, you make room for deeper connections to enter your life. The right people are out there searching for someone exactly like you, and they can only find you if you're brave enough to be exactly who you are